Okay, one more. Y equals negative square root of x, and we have the second one down here. This is one where it's probably going to be best to use substitution because this is already solved for y already, and plus we don't have any like terms to add to get anything to cancel, so we definitely want to do substitution on this one. We're going to put the y right here. We'll take that and we'll put it into the bottom equation right here. So that y will go directly into that bottom one. So when you do that, you get x minus 3 squared plus negative square root of x squared equals 5. So we did the substitution. So again, we took out the y, replaced it with negative square root of x. So what we're going to do now is distribute everything. So for this x minus 3 squared, we want to multiply that out. That's x squared minus 6x plus 9. We get that. Now this one, the square will get rid of the negative, and it's also going to get rid of the square root. Those two cancel out, so you get plus x, and that equals 5. When I add the like terms together, x squared minus 5x, and then we want to get this equal to 0, so I'm going to move the 5 across the equal sign, so then you really get 9 minus 5, which is going to be 4. So you want to get it down to that point. Whenever you have a quadratic, you want to make sure you get a 0 on that side, so that way you can factor it, set both of them equal, and get your answers. Okay, so now we're going to factor it. Get x and x here. Factors of 4, 1 and 4, both of them are going to be minus because you want them to add up to negative 5. Set it equal to 0, and we get x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 4. So those are the two answers we get for x. You can take these, because this is already solved for y, it's going to be easy to put both of them in to get our two different answers for x. So you're going to do x is equal to 1, and you're going to do x is equal to 4, and you're going to put both of them individually into the first equation. You get y equals negative square root of 1, y equals negative square root of 4. So we put the 1 into each of the into there for x, and we get y equals negative 1, and we get y is equal to negative square root of 4 is going to be negative 2. So therefore we have 2 points. We have 1, negative 1, and we have 4, negative 2. So these would be our two answers for this problem. So now let's suppose that instead of using the first equation, let's say instead you decide to use the bottom equation instead. So we already did the first one and we got our two answers, which would be the answer for this problem. But let's suppose instead you decide to use the second equation just to see what would happen. Okay, so again, you would have x is equal to 1 and you'd have x is equal to 4. You still want to put that into the bottom equation. So you get 1 minus 3 squared plus y squared equals 5. And if you do that, you're going to get negative 2 squared will give you a 4 there, plus y squared equals 5. And if you subtract the 4, you get y squared equals 1, and you get y equals plus or minus 1. If you put 4 in there, you get 4 minus 3 squared plus y squared equals 5. You get 1 squared plus y squared equals 5 there. You get y squared will equal 4. And you get y equals plus or minus 2. So what you might be thinking is, well, wait a minute, when we did the first equation, we did the first one, we only got one answer for y. Why do we get two answers? Did we do it wrong by picking the first equation? Actually, the answer to that is going to be no. Okay, so let's suppose that if we look at what we have here, we do get the first answer. We got 1 and negative 1. But another point we would get from this one that we didn't get earlier would be 1 and also positive 1. So let's look at that. Let's take, if we take that point and go back into, I'm going to go back over here and put it back into the original. We found 1 and 1, but if you put it back into the first equation, what happens? We get y equals negative square root of x is the one we're going to look at. We put in a 1 for y and we get a negative 1 in there. We get 1 equals negative 1. That doesn't work. That's a false statement. So because of that, that means that I can eliminate 1, 1 as one of my answers. So likewise, if this one right here, I only got negative 2. I got 4, negative 2. But if I tried 4, 2 as the alternate answer by using this one, again doing the same thing, if I were to use put that into the original one, y equals negative square root of x, I would get here 2 equals negative square root of 4, and I would get 2 equals negative 2. That doesn't work either. So therefore, I know that these two answers, even though I found that, 2 additional answers, they don't work in the original one. So that's why sometimes if you have just one equation, you can be assured that if you put your answers for x back in, we actually only get the two true solutions that we should have. We're not going to get, even though you get the other answers, those don't work. You only get the ones that do work, and so this would be the answer. You get 1, negative 1, and 4, negative 2. If you were to look at the graph of this one, I did that in the notes, but I'll give you a quick sketch on what it would look like. Primarily what you have here is you've got a circle that has a radius of square root of 5, and basically it would start over here at 3, 0, and it would look something like this. So here's would be the first equation. We'd have a circle there. Now the other one is y equals negative square root of x. So from transformation, square root of x would normally go up like this, but this would be flipped and it would go down like that. So this one would actually come down and do something like this. And so therefore what happens is you actually only get these 2 points of intersection there. One was going to be at 1, so that would be 1, negative 1. And then this one over here would be the 4, negative 2 you'd have there if we put the dashes on here. So therefore that's where they would go through. It would go through these 2 particular points. And so that verifies that these would be the only 2 answers.